365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Top 5 questions for Duke as we head into the Final Four. Yesterday, UNC. You might see, if you go back and watch yesterday's, you'll see an overlap on one question or one of these. Number 5, can you play the same type of defense you have been? Because look, earlier in the year, when we had Oglesby on earlier in the show, and one of the things he said, Duke, the ACC wasn't playing good out of conference. They weren't playing good defense. They weren't doing all these things. But Duke lately has been playing really good defense, especially given what else they had been doing all year. So can you keep up playing this great defense? You're going to have to against a team in North Carolina that has played better defense in the tournament, but is not built on that because they can't foul a lot. They can't get in foul trouble, so they got to play back a little bit and rely on their scoring.
I'm blown away by what I see, not because they don't have the talent. We know. I just thought I want to go back. I'll go all the way back to what I saw when they played Tech, and Tech controlled the tempo of that game, and Duke just kept. They never took that extra 4, 6, 8 point run that Tech used to put you in that headlock, and I just thought Roach and of course Banchero and all, they just were fantastic. And of course what North Carolina did to Baylor up until Manick was ejected is still mind-boggling that they just crushed them.
Yeah, Duke's gotten better on defense. Am I correct in saying that one of the problems they were giving Tech was kind of their zone looks there later in the game?
Yeah, they changed it up.
Tech was, a little slow to adjust to it. They ultimately did, but yeah, I mean, they've changed some things up and just played better. The interesting thing is this is not the same game it was a month ago when they played. I mean, because not only is Duke a different-looking team, but...
sorry about that, guys. Yep, I was looking up the highlights of that game. Okay.
Yeah. Not only is Duke a different team, but North Carolina clearly is a different team from even when they played that game, even though they won that game. They've just been on a run ever since then. So, yeah, defense has been one of Duke's, big boosts here as of late, and we'll see if they can keep it going. No reason to believe that they can't, but, obviously North Carolina's got some athletes too.
Big difference in that first game was free throw. North Carolina 19 of 22. Duke was 6 of 8. Across the board, everything else was pretty even as far as percentages, rebounds, turnovers. But that was one of the big differences.
Well, they won by 13, and that's 13. That's 13 points right there. Number 5, can you get UNC in foul trouble, which they weren't able to do at Cameron Indoor the last time they played them. Baylor was able to do it, and that's how they were able to get back in that game. But if you can get UNC in foul trouble, then you've got something going. But they've been pretty good at avoiding it for 99% of the year.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because we kept talking about Baylor, the attrition and injuries. And here they ended up playing North Carolina, and one of the first things I noticed is that North Carolina plays with 6 or 7 guys.
Not 7.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 is only because you kind of have to put a guy in for a second. But, yeah, I don't know. Can you get them in foul trouble? We'll see. They're pretty good at not being in foul trouble.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think they're mindful of that, and that's not really a game plan you bank on if you're Duke. Is let's get them in foul. I mean, you just got to go out there and play, and hey, if it falls your way, and especially their big man get in trouble, then that'll be a great thing for Duke. But yeah, I mean that's a question. Can they?
Yeah. Number 3, can you overwhelm UNC with depth? Can you wear their 5 out that they're going to play there? Can you run some guys in there? That wasn't the case the last time. It was the case the first time when they won by 20. So, which one is the real one? We'll see it in the Final Four on Saturday.
When Duke blew out Carolina back whenever they played earlier by 20, they out-rebounded North Carolina 40-24. 40-24 and shot 58% from the field. So that's something to look back. Just a couple of stats when they've played. But can they overwhelm them with their depth? Duke does seem to have that wave that they can bring in as well.
Yeah. Number 2, can you put the Coach K Day debacle behind you? Are you overcome with guilt? Do you have that where you're like, oh my God, we ruined that last one for Coach K? Is that still in their minds? Are you mature enough to move on and make this a bigger game, which it is? It's a Final Four game. It's much bigger than Coach K's last game at Cameron Indoor, but can you put that behind you? I think you probably can. I think this is kind of nice that you get this opportunity if you're Duke to put that behind you.
Yeah, I sure think they can. If they can't, then that's a terrible coaching job.
Yeah.
I mean, that game doesn't mean anything right now. That game means absolutely nothing other than bragging rights for UNC fans. And, they're never going to, change bragging about sending Coach K out a loser at home. So, I mean, you better put it behind you because it's not going to change. It's not going to stop. And, the best answer to anybody who wants to bring up the Coach K finale is to say, well, hey, we still won a national championship at the end of this, and we beat you in the Final Four on the way to doing it. So that's what Duke can do. And yeah, that would put it firmly behind them, I think.
And number one, same thing for UNC. Will the rivalry cloud their emotions? Do you get too keyed up because it is the biggest rivalry in college basketball and it's in the Final Four for the first time? You've got coaches that can handle it, but I think we might see kind of a sloppy game early because of that on both ends. But I think eventually it'll balance.
Yeah,
out.
this is a team. They've played each other dozens and dozens of times. There's been massive things on the line, but of course this one's different because it's never been in a Final Four. But yeah, I hope that we see North Carolina, who they've been for the last month and a half, and Duke, and what we've seen from them the last 3 weeks. Because if that's the case, we might see an incredible basketball game that we talk about forever.
I mean, both these teams are used to being talked about. So, I mean, I don't think attention's really going to get to them now. Granted, the magnifying glass is as close as it's probably ever been for this game. I mean, even though others have had a lot of attention. I mean, this one, we've been hyping it up already for 3 days. I mean, it's already been talked about to death, and we're going to continue to talk about it until the game tips off. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see kind of how the outside emotions and attention kind of plays into this. But, I'd be more worried if it was a team or teams that didn't typically receive a lot of it. But these two get plenty of it, so I think that they'll handle it fine.
All right, thanks to Armstrong Sims. We have the full throttle over at Bader's Practices. It's winding down with Brian and Jack, Grayson and Colt, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke. I'm David Smoke. Thanks to all of you today in the chat room on YouTube, 365 Sports, the text line as well. And a nice set of guests we're putting together for tomorrow, and we'll be here for that. Plus, we'll have whatever we see and hear and get from Bader's Pro Day as well. David Smoke, SicEm, 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Have a great evening. Thank you, and good night.